Hello everyone, my name is Brianne Lazinski. I am the creator of Soul's Compass Healing, where I offer evolutionary astrology, energy reading, and Akashic record readings, all online. And if you are interested to learn more, you can find my website linked in the description below. Please support yours truly by liking, subscribing, and spreading this video to whomever you think might dig it. I certainly do appreciate it. It's been 6 months now that I've been doing this. It was on the last solar eclipse in April when I very spontaneously decided to share what was on my heart. And here we are. I've stuck with the rhythms of the moon, and through thick and thin, I'm standing here with you today, somehow in cyberspace as I'm grounding into the earth. I just want to say thank you if you've been along for the ride thus far. If you're just joining, welcome. It has been an extremely grounding and healing force for me to go through the creative process of creating these videos and putting them out there in the world. I also need to say that there is a road very close. I am very close to a small airport, so there probably will be some noise disturbances or people walking their dogs or whatever, but I want to be outside today, so y'all are gonna have to put up with it. All right. We are here to talk about the new moon in Libra solar eclipse happening on October 14th, 2023. I am so passionate about the cycles and spirals that occur in nature, and that is why I love eclipse seasons, because it is so vivid and tangible to see the overarching macro cycles and spirals that are occurring, and it is a way to see that nothing is an accident, everything is interwoven, and everything is relational. Okay, so in evolutionary astrology, we jump into any chart via the moon's nodes and Pluto. And so this is especially pronounced during this eclipse season, as it was in the last one, because, eclipses are always occurring on the moon's nodes. Additionally, Pluto has been squaring the moon's nodes, even in a tighter square now than he was in the spring. And I think. Could be wrong about that. I don't know. Anyways, a very, very, very interesting point that we have is that this solar eclipse is initiating this nodal shift into the Aries Libra axis or polarity, right? So we were in the Taurus Scorpio polarity, and that was North Node Taurus, all about Venus. Venus is now ruling the South Node, which is in Libra, which is where this new moon is occurring. And it is sorry, my notes are very all over the place. Okay. I'm gonna start here. Alright, so Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn. Pluto has been stationing at 27 degrees of Capricorn and has just gone direct a couple of days ago. And Pluto is not only square the moon's nodes, And also, sorry, I also need to mention that with the south node of the moon, where this new moon is occurring, it is also conjunct Mercury, Pallas Athena, and Mars. Okay, we'll get more into that later. Sorry, did I mention that Pluto is also trining Uranus? Okay, never mind. All of the nerd talk is over. Okay, let's get into it. So we are in a time where there is the possibility of ancestral memories surfacing. Which of course can be very challenging as well. So I'm talking about this because Pluto is in Capricorn. This speaks to the importance of the healing journey while in a human body. Chiron is on the north node. We do it for ourselves, yes, and also simultaneously for our bloodlines, both backwards and forwards. So speaking about going backwards and forwards, let's talk about the main point of this new moon solar eclipse. So I talked about the moon's nodes and Pluto. With this particular configuration, because of the placements of these spatial objects, we have an integration point via this south node in Libra. In order to lean into that north node in Aries, we must first complete some unfinished business on that south node in Libra and integrate through that doorway, okay? And the south node in Libra, my question is, what is the historical resonance of relationships for the collective? And if we are to add in the fact that Mars, Pallas Athena, Mercury are all there as well, we are witnessing a resurgence of issues with justice, war, and propaganda. It's of utmost importance to dissect how these issues are being communicated. Another way to say it is to fine-tune the skill of listening, so to be able to determine truth from lies. This is a necessary step prior to leaning into what that north node represents with Erisina and Chiron, with that north node, which is freedom from unnecessary suffering, which is an extremely generalized statement and means something very specific to each individual and each group of peoples or populations. As above, so below, as within, so without. This is natural law. This is not hocus pocus. Just as we see these themes in the macro, in the big picture, in the collective, we can see them in the micro, inwardly in ourselves. So what does this south node integration point look like on a more personalized relational level? Again, these are very general statements, and the more nuanced or detailed application can be discovered by looking into the person's birth chart. Essentially, there may be a reliving or at least a reflecting on past relationships, and talking about issues such as, were there integral aspects of individuality forfeited in order to keep the peace in the relationship? So this is an exploration of codependency versus healthy co-regulation. And attachment styles has a lot to do with that. Exploring the hidden beneath the surface psychological motives, meanings, instinctual attraction. So this is because Mars is there in the first degree of Scorpio. Also very possible that the lens of objectivity provides clarity to see the relationship or relationships for what it is. So Pallas Athena in the sign of Libra now. I think that this is where the rose-colored glasses can come off. Libra can be a sign where we can, because we are human and we have needs, we can project onto other human beings and those who we are in relationship with. We can project onto them some very idealistic, fluffy, overly positive things that perhaps aren't grounded in truth. Perhaps it's just grounded in a projection in order to have hope, to have a need met. And so this is where the sign of Libra can get a bit hazy. And when we bring Pallas Athena into that symbolism, you know, she communicates through symbolism. So what you see is what you get. What the symbol is what the symbol is. You know, it's like there's an objectivity, a transparency there. Okay. So when I'm talking about an exploration of projections, unrealistic expectations, and issues of listening are all on the menu. Seems like some very valuable points to revisit while also leaning into the North Node, which has to do with carving out the open road before us to be autonomous beings on the healing journey of ending unnecessary suffering. So, because Pluto is squaring the nodes, there is this flip-flopping between these polarized states of Aries, Libra. In doing so, we develop a taste for both, and we evolve through integrating what is learned along the way, and thereby become increasingly equipped to actualize a path of routine balancing. Balance isn't a static state. It's called the balancing act for a reason. I would like to bring in a little dose of plant medicine, if I may. There is a very precious plant who wants to make herself known in this video. Her name is Wild Carrot, and she has something to say, especially in relation to Pluto being, you know, culminating this time in Capricorn. There is a completion of an old cycle, or old cycles of our relating patterns. So the past 20-ish years that Pluto has been in Capricorn, and it can be even longer than that, it can be ancestral patterns. So there is an understanding of the old foundation of the conditioning that we have received. Hopefully we're all beginning to, you know, put together the pieces of that puzzle, or, you know, further along in the puzzle, maybe we're on our last few pieces of understanding how did I turn out this way? What has been the ancestral conditioning here? What has been the societal conditioning here? And I just want to say that there are ancestors who want to help us lay down new bricks to form an improved foundation. And it is up to each of us to do that deep listening to the ancestors and to help lay down a practical new foundation for our life. And so what does this have to do with Wild Carrot? Wild Carrot helps during these times of a lot of transition, of a culmination of an old cycle before beginning a new one. And there's another plant as well, maho, which is native to New Zealand, and also wants to say hi, because that plant has to do with practical foundations, and I really do believe that the two of them would work really, really well together to get us closer to the essence of what this eclipse season is all about. And so, yeah, it can be as simple as, intentionally calling in these plants and spending a few minutes communing with them and seeing if anything comes up, or just inviting them as an ally. They're there to support us. So yeah, I'm so thankful. Okay, what next? Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit all over the place. This is gonna be a bit messy, but whatever. I'm gonna talk right now about about Mars and Venus. They are actually, at the time of this new moon solar eclipse, they are sextile each other, and they are in a moon phasal relationship, as all planets and celestial objects are. They are in the disseminating phase, in the last quarter phase. So this relates to now being the most fruitful time for questioning the existing societal structures. And the trick is, how do we remain within society while also questioning it? What is there to question right now? Is it possible to question and remain a respected participant? And yeah, sure, because because Venus is now in the sign of Virgo, which is super interesting to ponder, as she has just gone through this underworld journey and retrograde journey in the sign of Leo. And where we really got to heal issues around self-worth primarily, and now Venus is in the sign of Virgo, which is extremely typically self-critical, and so I just want to say that there is a warning to pay attention to any unconscious guilt. This can have a domino effect and attract partners who may be abusive. And when we lean into where Mars is in the first degree of Scorpio, we are learning about the karma that is directly exchanged through sexual union, the power of sex. So this Mars being conjunct the South Node, there can be a looking back on relationships and noticing the intersections of sex, power, control, manipulation, hidden motivations, total immersion into the other, in order to gain an understanding of what occurred on a psychological level. And so what is so potently and vividly available for us to explore right now is this psychology of sadomasochism, which I've talked about a few times in my videos before, but I'm not going to really go into it in this one. But essentially, what I do want to say is what is being offered here in this Venus-Mars placements and their phasal relationship, and the fact that they are not going to be culminating this cycle until February when they conjunct each other, is that I want to highlight the emotions of guilt and anger. They are feelings that they're more emotions that it's so nuanced, but essentially what I want to say is that if anger is not felt at the appropriate time, that anger should be felt and or expressed, because something has occurred that is not okay, and therefore anger is a natural response, then it is very, very, very easy for guilt to step in and take over that repressed anger. And so, which is just like an absolute recipe for disaster, like absolute recipe for disaster. It's something that, I know very well, and is takes a lot of work to undo and untangle. And I just want to say that during this time, in reflecting or maybe even reliving past relationships, to really be aware of the emotional body, and when anger comes up through memories or in the present moment, or when guilt comes up, and noticing the relationship between those two emotions, and noticing which were allowed to be expressed, if any, which were forced to be repressed, and what relating pattern has that created now. So I hope I'm making sense. It's a bit complex, and I'm trying to just keep it short. Oh my gosh, we're already at 22 minutes. Okay. Okay. So Mars represents the human process of being in a continual state of becoming. So what came before in relationships? Was there enough freedom to actualize the desires of our soul or not? Mars instinctively acts out the desires of Pluto. So I want to briefly talk about the moon phasal relationship between Mars and Pluto right now. They are square one another. Third quarter square to be exact. This is what correlates to a crisis in consciousness. So there must be a completion, a culmination of anything that was not resolved from the last cycle. Tension between the past evolutionary accomplishments and where the soul compass is pointing for future growth is a real thing that we can feel right now. The old patterns, the cultural beliefs, the societal values, they're just not an adequate enough map for our soul anymore. So the intent is to begin looking at the building materials we have to use in order to lay down a new foundation. This current cycle is culminating, right? What to believe, what to think, how to relate to ourselves and others and everyone else in the world. These are all questions that that are being asked at a soul level right now. And there can be, because Mars is the leading edge of the evolutionary desires of Pluto, there can be this there can be an instinctual attraction or repulsion to certain things or people or places that we just go for as we're doing this deep questioning and preparing to lay down a new foundation. But yeah, definitely need to culminate issues that went unresolved before laying down that new foundation, for sure. And I mean, it isn't always linear. You know, when I'm talking about the moon's nodes or when I'm talking about these dynamics, it's not like step 1, do this, step 2, do that. It's nature is in cycles and in spirals, as I mentioned, and it can all be happening at once, right? And that is okay. Okay. Just need to wet my whistle. All right. In the last solar eclipse in April, Pluto was also squared the moon's nodes, as I mentioned. And at that eclipse, Pluto was opposing Pallas Athena. Now, Pallas Athena is conjunct the south node, so this means that Pluto is now square Pallas Athena. So in the solar eclipse that occurred in April, I talked about this Pluto-Pallas Athena opposition being about the tug of war between the conscious or unconscious compulsions and ethics and justice. And I talked about Pluto relating to traversing a swamp. So if we're going out on a hike and we, find ourselves somewhere like right here, this isn't really a swamp, but yeah, if you're out in the wild and you need to traverse a swamp, it's like you're not gonna get out unscathed. You're gonna get dirty. It's gonna get messy, and there's no way around it. You got to get out somehow, and that's what Pluto is. And in the last 6 months, there was a witness of this tug of war, right? We probably have seen many examples of sort of hidden compulsions or hidden agendas that became exposed through just putting on the glasses of ethics and justice and just saying, what? That doesn't check out. So did you see it yourself? Did you see it out there in the world? Was it hidden in plain sight? Did the lies become exposed? Did the ulterior motives surface for the seeing? And now this eclipse initiates a crisis in consciousness about all that. Can you believe, think, value the things that you did 6+ months ago? It's time to get really specific about what justice means. How it actualizes in the world and in relationships. I can't stress enough the importance of this deep request for intentional and precise formulation done in a manner that is vivid. If the people listening to you can't contextualize the idea in their mind, or in other words, connect the dots between the idea and the actualization of the idea to make it real, Saturn, Capricorn, then where's the ground for that idea to stand on? I'm bringing this up because it's too easy to hide behind a buzzword or a buzz phrase like social justice. Meanwhile, the actions contradict the words. We've all seen this. The examples are countless. If no stark examples are coming to your mind, I invite you to take 5 minutes and just ponder it. Something will come up. Perhaps a situation comes to mind where you felt anger, confusion, or just plain bothered. Was there dissonance or a lack of consistency between what was being said and what was being done? Okay. Let's circle back to the point about getting vividly precise about an idea, intention, or something you want to see actualized in the world. It can be anything. What do you value? This eclipse is initiating the moon's nodal shift into Aries Libra polarity, indicating that for the past, 1.5 to 2 years, we were on a significant exploration of values, both collectively and individually. During this eclipse and the next 6 months, we are being presented with an opportunity to reflect on the past. Did I already say this? And witness in the present ways in which our internal values intersect with our relating patterns. I don't think I did. Okay, for example, someone who values alone time and doesn't precisely express that in their partnership because they believe that their partner should just magically know when to leave them alone, might experience frustration when the partner fails to read their mind, which is perfectly human. This is how easy it is for projections and unrealistic expectations to take over our relating patterns. Codependency is present in most relationships as a result. A little note on Uranus here. Uranus is in on the action. Uranus is in conjunct this moon. Uranus is the memory bank of individuated consciousness. So this in conjunct aspect lends to the possibility that memories from past lives or deeply subconscious memories from this life are somehow seeping into reality. This can create crisis, at least stress, whereby it may be difficult to be grounded in the present and have a regulated nervous system. Okay. I think that's it. That was a very awkward ending, but I was very much going here, there, and everywhere in my notes. Anyways, oh yeah, one other quick little thing. Venus is opposing Saturn. This is a very, very, very Venusian time period, years actually. A couple years of Venus really being at the evolutionary front line. And I think it's very interesting that after her journey, which I've spoken to so much, is now opposing Saturn, really can be a moment of witnessing and seeing in full light the work that we have been doing these past several months. And instead of doing the typical Virgo thing, which is, but I didn't do enough, I didn't work hard enough, I didn't finish I didn't tie up all the loose ends or whatever. Like, just give yourself that kudos that you did it. You made it through the past few months, and now Saturn might continue to test us. That is for sure a thing. But I just, because that is for sure a thing, I just don't want to lose sight of the headway gained through this Venus underworld journey. Alrighty, I am going to wrap this video up there. Thank you so much for listening, and oh, there's a doggy in the water. And I will be speaking to you all about the next eclipse that we have coming up in a couple of weeks. And until then, keep your feet grounded in the earth as we prepare to lay down this new foundation.